Okay, I'm going to be recording the presentation this morning. One thing I want to say is looking at the market analyzer windows, if you are trading with binaries, okay, every time something comes up in the potential, that's a trade, potential. Anytime at the ticks, if it gets to zero like the euro yen, that tells you to go look at it. The same thing with the 3-minute market analyzer. The thing with the magenta peak analyzer, I have both the 12 and the 45 peak ADX up. So every time you see a column that says peak in it, you also have a potential trade. And I wanted to show y'all because I want you to notice how many times these go off on these markets. Okay, makes a huge difference for you if you are trading in the U.S. and you have a NADEX account. There are so many opportunities throughout the day that it's just like there's no way you can get bored. And I wanted to make sure that you are watching it because, you know, if like this is at 2 ticks, I know to go to look at the Aussie yen. This is 2 ticks, I know to go look at the Aussie US dollar. Because remember, every trade that we get from either an ATR or a congestion dot. Okay? Now, I added the 12-minute magenta peak because we can trade that using the hourly expirations on the binaries, okay? So this is something that we couldn't trade before, and now we can, okay? And what you do is you go down and you look at a 1-minute chart, see if it's flipped the ATR, retrace back to the ATR on diverging volume, that gives you your Buddha entry. Does everybody understand that? So now we can feasibly trade the 12-minute magenta peaks, the 45-minute magenta peaks. We could even trade the 180 magenta peaks using the daily expiration. Okay? You just have to have enough time for that retracement to occur. Now, for those of you that do not know it, I posted a real cool video this morning on the RSI, and it has a quiz with it, because sometimes we watch videos but we don't really understand and we can't apply the knowledge even though we think we can. So if you go to the blog this morning, the understanding the RSI indicator meter window on Forex, I showed you what the meter was doing and how to read the meter. I also took that trade, and that was, I was trading 2 contracts. It was almost $100 in less than an hour, and it only moved 6 ticks. That's something that we can't do in the futures, guys. I mean, you cannot take a trade if the market is not moving. We all know that, okay? In futures, if we're trading futures, we need it to move. In binaries, I don't need it to move. It moved 6 ticks, 2 contracts, still profitable, okay? The other thing I wanted to go over real quick, and I'm recording this, so if you missed any of it, you can go back and view it. On the THD blog, if you want to see all of the new posts, you just simply click here, and it will open the new post for you. Some of the options that I have, you are not going to have because I'm the administrator, okay? But if you want to see, like, for example, change your profile, this is a big one because sometimes you don't want them to see your THD blog name. So if you go to profile, go to edit profile, and where it says display name, just type in whatever you want and then say update profile. No, well, that one's already in use. I can't do it, so I have to go back to Gail. Now, the other question I had is how to add image to your post, okay? So I'm going to go back to the form, and I'll delete this one later today. We'll just do it in this one. Okay, I'm going to add a topic, and I'm going to say blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, most of you think that clicking here will insert the image. Okay, that's not really the way you do it. So let's say that I type whatever I want here, and then I'm going to scroll down and click Attachments. I'm going to add a file, and I'm just going to add the RSI, for example. I'm going to say Open, and then click Start Upload. Okay. Now, I've really kind of simplified this. You just don't know it yet, though. So this one comes into the full image size. You do not need to resize it. It will automatically do that for you. So when I submit the topic and we go back and look at it, it will be a thumbnail. Okay, so then I can just click on the image and it will open up in a window. Okay, so that's very easy for everybody to do. I do ask, if you're trying to post a question on, like annual members, please use the annual members form. Otherwise, I'll have to move it. And I'm going to delete that one. Now, the other thing is, remember I allowed you to do chats, okay? Instant messaging, whatever you want to call it, okay? Under your profile, if you do not want people to see that you are online, click on Options and click Hide Online Status, okay? You can also opt out of private messaging if you want to. That's entirely up to y'all. I don't really care which one y'all do. Some of you want the ability to chat with each other. Now you have it. Okay? So I did record this for those of you that came in late. I'm going to post it up on the web and you can watch it later. I do suggest that everybody watch the video that I did on the RSI, because it has a really neat quiz at the end of it. So again, if you just scroll down, go to Understanding the RSI Indicator Meter Window for Forex, okay? Within there is a link to the video in the quiz. So if you just click on Watch this video, it will open up and ask if you want to take the quiz. If you do, you enter your name and your email address, and then watch the video. Pay attention, because I ask sneaky little questions, okay? And then at the end, you'll have the opportunity to take the quiz to make sure that you understand it. If you're trading the meter, you really do need to understand what it's trying to tell you. Any questions on that, guys? Now, we do have several economic news reports today. They also have the G7 summit today. So at 8:15, we have the ADP non-farm employment change. We also have the Canadian interest rate at 10 o'clock. We also have ISM non-manufacturing PMI is actually this one here. The 3 bulls means it's high volatility, 2 is medium, okay? So for those of you that are trading, for example, the Canadian dollar, the interest rate announcement would be one that you might want to do with binaries. There was a market report on the Aussie dollar last night, and I actually set up my trade before I went to bed and got up and had made money on it using the binaries. Now, why can I do that with the binaries? Because I can limit my risk. They will not jump over my stop in a binary. They will do it in the future side, okay? So it just opens up a lot more trading opportunities for us. Any questions on that so far? And again, for those that just came in, I wanted to point out in the market analyzer, if you're using radar screen, you can do the same thing in radar screen. If you're using multi-charts, you can do the same thing in the scanner window in multi-charts, okay? I've got a 1 minute up that tells me where the ATR is in relationship to price. I also have a potential entry column here. So for example, right now on the USD JPY, you're getting a potential entry on the 3 minute, okay? Now, what I want you to watch is during this 1 hour, just 1 hour window, I want you to watch and see how many times ticks to the ATR gets to 0, and anything that pops up in the potential entry window, okay? Because all of those in either the 1 minute or the 3 minute window are now tradable using the binaries. This is huge, guys. Whether y'all realize it or not, this is huge. Now, I also have over on the right-hand side the market analyzer, and it has the 12-minute magenta peaks as well as the 45 magenta peaks. Okay? Every time you see the word peak show up in any of these columns, that's a potential trade. Okay? Any questions on that? So right now, looking at the 1 minute, you've got one, well, let's do 5 and under. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 markets to look at on a 1 minute chart. Okay. On the 3 minute, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry about that. 7 on a 3 minute chart. And you've got one magenta peak right now on the British pound US dollar. Yes, there is an audible alert on the ADX peaks, George. So anytime this appears, you'll get this sound. And believe me, it's annoying. You'll know it. We did not do it on the potential yet. I'm probably going to, but it's going to be going off a lot. Do I call trades in this room, or is it a teaching room? It's a teaching room, Chris. All right. Let's go and we'll start with gold and see what we anticipate with gold today. So the ADX is at 60. It's not really oversold on the 1440. I mean, yeah, oversold on the 1440. But if the magenta peak comes in on the 720, which is oversold, you are also going to get it on the 1440. What template do I use for the THD meters? I have them. If you want them, just send me an email, Pam, because I tell you what, I've been trading Forex going in and coming, and I'm getting so many trades I can't even keep up with all of my trades. Okay, and yesterday, what I've been testing, especially for new traders, Pam, is could you trade just 2 contracts and make money just doing 2 contracts using this methodology? And yesterday, just trading 2 contracts each time, I did over $600 in binaries. And out of all of them I had one break even, and I had one at one that was a negative trade, and went right back in and still made profits. So it is very, very doable. All right, let's look at gold. if this magenta peak comes in, and it is coming in right now, then you're also going to get the magenta peak here. That's going to push price up, okay? You need to let that magenta peak come in before you start taking longs, unless you have a magenta peak that is on the 45-minute, which you do not have right now. Does everybody understand that? Now, if you wanted to long-term trade that magenta peak, which I think it may be actually very violent, you probably won't have time to, but if you want to, it's going to flip this ATR, which it's doing right now, okay? Then it will come back and test that ATR. That is called the Buddha trade, and that's the one that you would want. You would want to see diverging volume at the ATR, okay? All right, any questions on gold? All right, let's go look at crude. Crude is bouncing up from the ATR here. You do have an ATR right up above price here. It's got a wide bar on the 180. Remember, wide bars typically retrace. Yeah, you have to offset the high or the low, Bonnie. Bonnie's asking if I get a magenta peak when price takes out the high or low of the previous bar and the ADX is above 50. ADX being above 50 is what gives us the magenta, Bonnie. And then if you just simply offset the high or the low, I do it visually, that's when your magenta peaks come in. Okay? Let's see. We know that wide bars retrace at least 80% of the time, so we may get a retracement on this wide bar on crude. That's probably going to be a magenta peak on the 45-minute that's going to retrace down to the ATR, which is at 103.04. Okay, so if we come over here and we say, okay, what is 103.4? Well, you can see that that is the retracement on the wide bar. Does everybody understand that? All right, now on the 12-minute, you are going to need to flip this ATR, and it normally comes back and tests the ATR, okay? So this will go from blue to red. It will be plotted above price. Price will pull back and test that, and then it will come down, okay? Any questions on crude? All right, let's go look. Let's start at the DAX this morning. I'm trading a lot of the DAX because it moves beautifully on the binaries. So this is coming down to the ATR. You do see that we've had a magenta peak. Okay, this is red. We want it to break the ATR here. I'm looking at the 180 because of these congestion dots. And then if you go up to the 45-minute, you can see that you made a low here, lower low here, but there is divergence there. That told me they were going to retrace, right? They did retrace, and look at what happened on the volume. There's diverging volume. Did buyers step into the market? No, they did not. It's going to come back more than likely and test this low at 9868.5. Okay? I get it through my AMP account, George. So if you have an account with AMP Futures, it's just provided. But otherwise, I think you have to have the Eurex or the European data. It is a beautiful one to trade, George. You would love it. Now, just to give you an example, okay, George, for example, and I'm not going to go into the 3-minute setup and all, although I probably could. This is your ATR right here, right? So when price went up here, like it did here, if you did a binary on this, at that point you're 50-50 on the binary. So if you took that trade, you had all the profits on this bar. You don't need but one, two, well, no, you need 2 to 3 bars to give you your profits. Gig, a lot of people have asked me if you need Forex data. I have Forex data, but no, you do not need it if you follow what I tell you on the meter window. Now, I want to explain this because I want to make sure everybody understands it. All right. Let's say that, let's look at it, the British pound, okay? Well, it's not a good one to look at because it's going to be in the same direction. I'm trying to choose one that has an inverse relationship. We'll do the USD Swiss franc. Now, this is the future gig, okay? All right. Look over to the meter. Is the dollar weak or is it strong? It's weak. That means on the Swiss franc, the USD Swiss franc spot Forex pair gig, you're going to be going short. And it also means that you need to see the Swiss franc going up. No, it's fed by futures data. All of these are future symbols, guys. The 6A, 6B, 6E, DX, 6J, 6S, 6C, and 6N. I'm getting it all from AMP. Now, and you really kind of want to do this. It kind of gives us an advantage over the spot Forex traders, whether you know it or not, because I'm going to pull this one over for a moment. And I'm going to go to the data series in the USD Swiss, no, I want the Swiss franc. Oh, I can't do it that way. Wait a minute. I got to change it there first. Now, go in here, set this to a 45. This is why I've been focusing on explaining how to read the meter, okay? And we're going to set this down here, say okay. Now, is there a difference between these, guys? Well, it can't be because I've got it on the wrong thing. Thank you. Is there a difference between these two charts? You think there is, but there's not. Which one did I say was strong, guys? Wrap your head around this. It's a hard concept, but if you get it, man, you'll love it. It's an inverse. That's right. The Swiss franc, which is the white line over here, is moving up. The Swiss franc future contract is measured against the dollar. Do y'all understand that? So, in this case, you should be going long on the Swiss franc future, and you should be going short on the USD Swiss franc. Do y'all understand that? That is right. See, everybody thought they were going to have to get data. They don't have to get data. All right, now let's look at a pair. For example, the euro US dollar, okay? And up here we'll go to the euro. What is the euro currency future? It's the euro, right? It's measured against the dollar. Do you see the same patterns here? Do you see any major differences is what I should say? Do y'all understand that? That's right. There's no differences other than this volume on the future is regulated. This volume is not. This volume up here is coming from the CMA. I know I can trust that one. This volume is coming from FXCM, and I can trust it, but it's not giving me the volume for IBFX. It's not giving me the volume for Interactive Brokers. It's not giving me the volume from Goldman Sachs and everybody else that has Forex brokerage. Do y'all understand that significance? It's totally awesome, Dan. Absolutely the best day you've ever seen in your life. Okay? I'm sorry, but I'm a little bit excited this morning. If I had to pick a volume that I'm going to have 100% confidence in, guys, it's going to be this volume up here. Okay? What about if you wanted to trade the British pound in the yen? Okay, here's the British pound. Here's the yen. Okay, the British pound is going up. The yen right now is flatlining. I would want to see the yen coming down. That would give me a British pound yen move. That is available during Asia. Every hour on the hour you have an expiration. Do, do y'all understand that? If I wanted to do the British pound with the Aussie, okay? Here's the Aussie, here's the British pound. What are they doing over here? And you do not need a strong movement on the meter. You know, if the dollar is going up, the yen's going down, that's exactly what you want. And you can take a trade in the binaries. Now, this morning, just trading 2 on the yen with 6 ticks of movement, I pulled $92 out, okay? Just think if I had been doing 10 to 20 contracts on that one. You just add 2 symbols. That's all, Dan. And the easy way to do it, I don't know whether y'all know it or not, but if you take and move it over here, now I have my lines memorized. So if I'm saying, okay, this is the dollar, the yen's moving up, okay, that would be potential trades. British pound on the dollar would be potential trades. Swiss franc dollar and not the Aussie because the Aussie's ticking down. The Canadian dollar, the New Zealand is flatlining. Don't even think about trading that one. And it was one point yesterday during the day, they were just kind of flatlining, and I knew don't even think about trading them. Because you had no strength and you had no weakness. And that's what we're trading, the strength of one currency versus the weakness of another currency. Now, if you want just 2 currencies, you would just have to have a lot of windows, though, unless you just look at, you know, a couple of pairs. I can do those templates, Dan, if you'll send me which pairs. And believe me, it's much easier for me to do it than it is for you to do it. And that way you don't have to pay for the Forex data. It is almost identical to looking at these. Almost identical. There are certain binaries that you want to trade during Asia. There are certain binaries that you want to trade during London. And then the U.S. kind of opens up the whole world. And gig, the prices as far as if And I haven't tested the inverse relationship gig, but I know on the ones that are just, euro, US dollar, 6E, you're going to have the same prices. It is going to be discussed at the Kickstart Your Trading webinar. In fact, we're going to go in some depth on these binaries. I mean, real depth. If, for example, and this is a great example, Pam, if you know that there's a market report like this morning on the Canadian, there's a binary trade that you can do based on that. I did one last night on the Aussie. Now, let's go and let's look at the Forex Factory. Yeah, it's available to all annual members. Y'all are covered. It's 6 sessions over 2 weeks. If you're an annual member, then your entry's already paid. All right, let's go to this week, guys. And this is just a preview of what we're going to be doing at that. We're going to go in and look at the entire week. Anything that has a red report, we can actually trade it regardless of whether we're going to be up for that market report or not. I'll show you how to do it. And it is phenomenal. Your risk is capped, okay? So you can only lose X amount of money, okay? And it's really phenomenal what you can do with it. Literally, I could trade 24 hours a day now, Dan. I have turned into a trading demon. Me and Miko were talking yesterday, and I was showing him something on the DAX, and I ended up taking 2 DAX trades because they were good trades, Both of them worked out. And I know I get a lot of customers here that, they have small accounts. And if you got a small account, you need to be in the binaries if you're located in the U.S. Okay? Phenomenal. That's the only thing I can say in the room, Dan. Oh, yeah. I've got this thing nailed down to a T. I've even got a spreadsheet, and I'm going to send it to people that are at the Kickstarter trading, and all it does, I put in the premium that I paid, okay, and it tells me a percentage of return. So, if I'm seeing something in the volume that I don't like, I'll just take my percentage. Because I'll tell you right now, there is no bank in the world that I can go and put my money in, and it will give me a 30% return in 1 hour. And there's some of them I don't even care about risk to reward because the probabilities are so high. So there's all kinds of different ways to take trades in the binaries. But, you have to get your head wrapped around it. All right. Yeah, you have to live in the United States to trade these binaries, okay? And the reason is, Pam, they're regulated by the CFTC. Now, there are other binary companies throughout the world. A lot of them I do not trust. So you really have to do your research. Don't rely on the binary option reviews because most of those are just paid reviews. No, it's not that complicated. It's probably the easiest trading you'll ever do. But you get to learn on the live edge and make money, you know. And once you're making money, all you're doing is increasing your contracts. For example, if you want to trade a gold binary and you want it to be the same as gold as far as point value goes, you trade 10 contracts. It's $1 a tick. How many of you in the room do credit spreads? You know, you do these little weekly credit spreads that, you might get $42 a contract. I can do that in an hour. Why would I do it in a week? See, credit spreads always bored me, but they're great for, generating income. I can generate income every hour of the day on something, with the exception of 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I mean, really, if you get a credit spread on Tuesday or Wednesday that's worth 42, you put a lot of work into that, in my opinion, to find that little credit spread for $42 when I can do it in an hour. And the difference, guys, and this is what a lot of people don't understand about binaries. You know how credit spread, Stuart, you're working on the premise that the closer it gets to the expiration, the lower it goes in value. If you bought a binary, it actually goes up in value the closer it gets. So you start out at, let's say, 7 o'clock in the morning, okay? You got into a binary, and let's just say you entered at $40, okay? It's slowly increasing in value, but once it gets to about 7:30, that thing accelerates, man. I love it. Especially because the indicators tell us where it's going anyway. That's really the big difference. Now, if you short it, it's decreasing in value, which is exactly what you want it to do. But again, it accelerates the closer it gets to the expiration. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk about binaries, but they are so interesting. I'm having a lot of fun with them. All right. And it's the first time ever you can actually trade the 12-minute magenta peaks. So now I can trade the 12-minute, I can trade a 12-minute magenta peak, I can trade a 45-minute magenta peak, I can trade a 180 magenta peak, I can trade a 720 magenta peak, and I can even go and trade the daily magenta peak. All of the annual members, I'm going to post that link over the weekend so all of you can sign up over the weekend. No, it will not be on the, oh yeah, it will be on the blog. I'm sorry, Stuart. It will be on the blog, and it will also be on the annual members forum page. For all of those that came in late, I went through how to do stuff on the blog. I'm recording this so you can go back and watch it. It's at the very beginning. Okay? All right. I'm sorry. I did not mean to get off topic this morning. I was actually going through the markets. If you missed any of it, you can go back and read it online anyway. The 1440, we do have this flat magenta peak here. That means that more than likely this high will go back and be tested. Right now it's pulling back to the ATR over on the 720. The one thing that has prevented it from coming back all the way has been this congestion dot series on the 180. Now, this is another example. Yesterday, this helped support all of my trades yesterday on the binaries. So, I knew it was there, and I could actually trade it when the setups came in on the lower time frame, and they did. All right, over on the 45 minute, you see that it has broken through the ATR, formed congestion dots down here. It's coming back to test this area now. If it continues on diverging volume, it will come back up. It's just something we're going to have to wait and see on that one today. Let's go over and look at the ES. I'm trading the ES a lot now because I'm doing it on the binaries, okay? I never liked trading the ES before, remember, because it didn't have that much movement when you compared them to other indices. Now it doesn't matter. I'm trading it anyway. Using the binaries, you can do that. So here, you know, you can see this coming down. If it gets down to about 1913, you're going to get a magenta peak, which will make this come down to the ATR on the 720 and on the 1440. It will need to break the ATR. Right now, it's heading down to this congestion dot here at 1913. You can also see that that's what's going on the 45 minute. I would wait until the end of this bar, which is another 15 minutes, to see if sellers actually step into that market. If they don't, it will go back up and test again. Let's go over and look at the Dow. The Dow doesn't have any of the potential for magenta peaks. You can see here there's no magenta, no magenta. So as far as I'm concerned, it is moving up. You do see the same congestion pattern down on the 180. Okay. The 45 minute has managed to flip. The ATR didn't quite make it up here and then came back down and flipped it again. It's come back towards the ATR up here. Didn't see a lot of buyers coming in, so of course it's coming down. I would want it to break this area of congestion before I took a short on the Dow. Larry, can you show how to look for sellers on the 45 minute on the ES? All right. Here's a low. Here's a low. There's clear divergence there. Do y'all see that? Now it's coming back to test it here, and you can't even see the sellers in. It's only 96 sellers in that bar right now, right here. Okay, so as this stands right now, you're going to get divergence. We are trying to get the scaling on this to plot better. The problem is that we're plotting above the zero line or the buyers, below the zero line or the sellers. So we're trying to figure out some way to get this scaling better, but because we're doing it based on the actual numbers, I don't know what we're going to be able to do. Is it updating? As far as I know, it is. I can actually go over and look at crude right quick and tell you. I do have a lot of data coming in right now, which may be affecting it. Yeah. All right. Put the RSI. Nope, that's the wrong one. I can just about tell you, I do believe it's right. RSI, but we'll see. Yeah, it's right. Are you on the July contract for crude? Well, if you don't have crude 07-14, Stuart, it's not going to plot. Right click on the chart, left click on the indicators. Right here, you will have a 6. Backspace it out and change it to a 7. Then click OK. it is a really good pattern, Dan. You're right. If you see a break with no conviction and then you have divergence, it's just sweet. That's all I can say. It's really sweet. And that's one reason that I've got the congestion column in the market analyzer, because anything that's in congestion, if I don't have anything else, I'm going to go look at it. Send me an email, Dan. Now, most of you, if you remember, um, you don't get a lot of trades on the futures, okay? Just on days when it's really, really trending, right? Everybody knows that. You're sitting here waiting for the trade to set up. Starting at 8 o'clock every morning, you have 20 potential trades. 9 o'clock, you have 20 potential trades. 10 o'clock, 20 potential trades. And that goes all the way up to 1:30 gold closes, 2:30 crude closes. So now you just got a magenta peak on gold, and it's on the 12 minute. That tells me I need to zero down to the 1 minute for a binary. Oh, I did the wrong one, no wonder. So this is the magenta peak that's coming in, the market analyzer. We'll pick it up first, so that just tells me to go down to a 1 minute. Why 1 minute? Because it would be a Buddha trade between the 1 and the 12 minute. Okay, this is a blue line, okay? So this has to flip the ATR, which is already done, and you have to have divergence here at the ATR. Right now, as it stands, you do not have divergence, okay? You have to wait until this bar completes. It just did. Now you can actually enter the binary on that. Oh yeah, I've been doing quite a workout. Even if it goes against you, you're not going to lose that much like you would in the futures. I would not recommend trading a 1 minute if you were a new trader in the futures. It will make mincemeat out of you because you don't have the experience. And remember, we couldn't trade if you had gappy charts. Bring on the gappy. Binaries, it does not matter. It tells you right here on the market analyzer gig, it's a 12-minute magenta peak. It will appear in the market analyzer before it appears on your chart. It's faster in the analyzer. That's why we did the analyzer for you guys. And I have it update intrabar also gig. And I have it like that on the chart, but even then it doesn't do it as quickly as the market analyzer window will. Send me an email and I'll send them to you, gig. The 12 and the 45 you probably do not. So if y'all send me emails, I'll send them to you. You could use like the multi-chart scanner if you have it, Dan. You could also do it on the market analyzer. You could do it on the trade station radar screen, whatever, you have access to, yes. The one reason that I cannot do it is I'm trading so many markets that I'll run out of memory. Now, NinjaTrader will be fixing, they're doing a new release over the summer, so we won't have that limitation in NinjaTrader. And it's not NinjaTrader, it's oh, the programming language has the limitation, and I can't remember what it's called. The reason that you see me using a lot of NinjaTrader now is the volume issue. That's it. They do a much better job on volume than TradeStation does. Now, multi-charts pretty much is equivalent, so it's just whichever one you have. We don't have the delta plotted in the multi-charts volume indicator, and I like using the delta, Dan. So that makes a difference to me. We are thinking about upgrading it to use the delta. Right. Thank you, George. It is the multiple threading. And they're changing that over the summer when they come out with the new one. And like I've got 4 processors in my computer, but the software can't handle the 4 processors. It's still only using 1 processor. But during the summer, they're going to change that, and I'm probably going to add some more monitors with the binaries. I'm only using 6 at the moment, and I'm seeing a need to increase my monitors. I don't believe I'm saying that. Which markets have I not covered so far, guys? I'm sorry. Yeah, but they haven't updated it to work with 64-bit. 6E. Okay, the first thing that I would look at if I was thinking about trading the 6E is, okay, is the dollar weak? Yes, the dollar's weak. You can see that the euro is starting to go up, okay? So I know I would be taking a long position on the euro. Okay, you're at a congestion dot right up here. You see on this one, if the volume is increasing, which it was, I don't know what happened to it. If it's increasing, it will go through that dot. Otherwise, it will come back. Now, you see down here that it's at 69.2. That tells me we're going to have a magenta peak over on the 12-minute. In addition to all that good stuff, you've also got potential divergence here. Divergence, as y'all know, precedes the magenta peak. What does that tell me? It tells me go down to a 1-minute. Okay, here's the 1-minute. This is blue. I need a red ATR. I need it to come back and test the red ATR. Has to be done on diverging volume volume. Then I would take a binary trade in that. Understand, George? Oh, I know Duke Energy loves me to death. Let's see. And today you actually have really good opportunities in the currency market because the dollar is weak. If that continues when the market opens, you're going to see the euro going up, the Swiss franc's already going up, British pound's going up. I would think that the U.S. That the Japanese yen would start going up, the Canadian is going up, and the New Zealand is just too slow to trade. So, yeah, they run 24 hours a day, Dan. The only time my computer actually gets turned off or restarted is a crash or over the weekend. All right, what other markets do y'all want to look at? I think we've been through most of the major ones. Um, and also for those of you that are trading the binaries, one word of caution. Most of the binaries, like the NASDAQ, it of course has 4 ticks to a point. The Dow, each tick is a point. On the ES binary, you have 10 ticks in a point. So instead of being worth $4 for a point, it would be worth the $10. Gold is the same way. Crude is the same way. So if you wanted to trade the binaries with the same equivalent of the futures, you would just do 10 contracts. Now on the ES, you would only have to do 5. I don't, if anything, I think Nadex will excel during the summertime because it's just like the USD JPY trade I did this morning. We had literally 6 ticks of movement. Let's see, where was it? It was early this morning. It was gappy. Here it is. So on the binary, Dan, all I did was take the binary, I think it was at 61 was where the binary was, and it went down to 56. Actually, it wouldn't even, was it? No. I think this is where I got the binary, either 61 or 62. It moved down 6 ticks, but made $92 on 2 contracts. So I don't really care how slow it is. Give me an ATR and I'm going to trade that sucker. I mean, you can see sellers actually dominated this high right here. So for those of you that think, oh, well, that doesn't mean anything because it was 5:45 in the morning, it meant something to me. Now, what you do need to know, oh, yeah, it meant big time money. If I'd been trading 10 contracts, I'd been very, very happy. But for 1 week, I want to trade like a new trader would trade. So, oh, they want a magenta peak again. Now you have one on crude. That's on the 45, 0 down to a 3-minute. Wait for it to come back to an ATR. Comes back to an ATR. There's your trade. Diverging volume. My normal routine with the binaries now, Dan, I start looking for trade setups at the top of the hour. Okay. And then usually by 15 minutes till the top of the hour, I'm out of it. Unless it's just, I know for sure it's going to close in my direction. Then I'll let it expire. I would probably say about 75% of them are binaries. 25% are spreads. It was on the DAX yesterday morning, and I'm going to show it to y'all because this is the difference. I do a lot with the DAX. All right. Is it? No, it wasn't on that one. All right. For example, let's take this one right here. Do you see how you have diverging volume? Right? Now, if you had entered that in the futures, you would have been stopped out. You would have had a 10-tick stop. You would have been stopped out, right? Not on the binaries. You can opt to get out, but if the volume's telling you it's going to come back down, why opt to get out? You don't get stopped out of the binaries. The most you can lose is whatever you went into the binary for. Yeah, it is the best thing about the binaries. You never, ever have to get worried about getting stopped out. I took one yesterday. It was a break-even trade on the yen because I didn't like what the volume was doing. So I went ahead and exited the trade. And it seems like it seems like I was at like 13 bucks on two, which is, really break even. I still do the futures, Bonnie. I guess keep my skill level up. The binaries are just so much easier. And literally, you have an opportunity every hour on the hour. You just have to know which binaries you can trade at that moment. And I've got them. I've got one more list to put up on the website, and then I'll probably just put it in a PDF, and y'all can download it. But the thing of it is, the more volume that comes in Nadex, the more opportunities that we're going to have. And, y'all think about it as new traders, okay? What is the worst thing that happens? Okay? You get stopped out and that screws with your head. You don't have that in the binaries. Yeah. I only trade Forex now with the binaries, Robert. That's it. There is absolutely no reason for me to trade spot Forex and pay a pip spread when I can make the same amount of money over at the binaries. And the binaries don't even have to move. As long as it stays under or above the binary that I took. And they're 24 hours a day. Okay, if you work a day job 9 to 5, you can trade the Asian or you can trade the London session. It doesn't matter if Asia is slow, guys. It does not matter. No more than it mattered on my USD JPY this morning. I quit trading the USD JPY because it just slowed down a lot. I don't have to worry about that anymore either. The only thing with the binaries is, you have to know which time frame to focus on when you're trading that binary time frame. And we go over that in the Kickstart Your Trading not next week, the week after. And everything that you see here is available for multi-charts, is available for TradeStation. Since we're using the futures to trade the Forex, yeah, you can exploit it because it's slow. To me, it was like, okay, give me a gappy chart now, by God. I'll nail it. Just give me an ATR. And all I have to do is look at the analyzer and say, oh, yeah, there's one that said ATR. Let's go. And then, I'm normally out of it by quarter till the top of the hour. I go out, take a break, get me some more coffee, tea, lunch, whatever, come back and do it all again. And they even have an app for your phone if you want to monitor, because sometimes I do the weekly binaries. With the weekly binaries, you're just trading a magenta peak from a higher time frame, guys. And you do the weeklies, okay? And then by the end of the week, it has to have given you that money. Remember, as it gets closer to the end of the week, it speeds up. Like the binaries, I love the freaking binaries. It's turned me into a trade demon. Ask Mika, he'll tell you. Anybody that loves to trade as much as I love to trade, Larry, will absolutely freaking love the binaries. No, it's more for monitoring the position, Dan, not for entering. They are working on a better application. I talked to I think it was the vice president a couple of weeks ago. They are working on the app. And that's all I would do with it. Like this summer, I plan on spending some time at the beach. Well, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to trade Asia. I'm going to trade London, and then I'm going to spend the day on the beach. And see, and I'll do a PDF and put it up on the website for everybody on the binaries. But during the U.S. session, like the NASDAQ, the DAX, the ES, the Dow, most of your currencies, not all of the currencies, but most of them, actually go up to 4 o'clock where you have an expiration every hour on the hour. So from 8 to 4, that's 8 hours, and there's at least 10 markets that are open that full time. So that's 80 potential trades for me. And I have always got something at an ATR using that method. Yeah, and if I was doing it because I wanted to get rid of my day job, um, I would be pretty aggressive with my binaries, because I can be aggressive anyway. But if I'm trying to build it up so eventually I can quit my day job, I'd be pretty aggressive on it. Now, some people would have trouble being that aggressive, so you just have to take that into account. And see, the thing with binaries, you don't have a margin at all. And this is where you actually make more trading the binaries on Forex than you make in the spot side. Because most of the brokers to trade one contract on the spot side is going to charge you at least 1,000 in margin. You don't have 1,000 in margin on Nadex. It's whatever the premium is. And it's a really, really neat feature on the binaries. You can actually do more with your money. But now, if you're trading, a huge number of contracts, you do have to check to make sure you can trade that number on the binaries. I think it's 1,750 contracts for most of the futures. Remember, crude has that magenta peak on it. It's coming back and testing the ATR right now. That's the one I would do a 10 o'clock binary on. Ooh, it just lit up like a Christmas tree. Now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 potential trades. They would all be on the 1 minute chart too. Those are trades we couldn't trade before because there wasn't enough room for profits. Y'all remember that? Now you go down to a 1 minute, get your Buddha trade. That's 9 potential trades there. All right, any questions, guys? I will put this up later. I do suggest that you go and watch the video that I posted this morning. It's under the intraday trading tips. You really need a firm understanding of this meter window so that you can trade just using the futures. And the reason you should use the futures is the volume is much better. You don't have to read all of these articles about uptick, downtick on the Forex. Just use the futures. Works the same. This is on this one. This is directly from the CME. You're not going to have any discrepancies in this volume. We all know that because it's coming from the CME. I normally post it in both areas, Dan, because I have an option in, and one of the reasons I used the software that I did is because I could post it in both locations at the same time. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the session because I'm going to go trade because there's a lot of trades, and I need to go look at them. That's exactly what I'm saying, Robert. And if you understand the correlations and if you understand the meter, you can do it. And that's the reason, I've been posting a lot on the meter this week. As long as you understand what the meter is telling you, Robert, you can trade the spot side. They have exactly the same patterns, and I showed that earlier. You're not going to get the euro if it's like the euro US dollar with the euro, you're going to see exactly the same patterns. If it is an inverse, you'll see the exact opposite, and that's what you would expect. But yeah, you can do it. The underlying of the binaries are based on futures. I think they're based on the Forex, Larry. If I'm not mistaken, it's based on the Forex, the spot Forex. And see, you could not even trade a 3-minute spot Forex chart before. I can trade them all day long. Yeah, it depends on probably which binary. All right, guys, I will post this afternoon. There was a lot of information in this webinar, and I understand if you need to review it. That's one reason I'm going to go back and post it. We are going to have the Kickstart Your Trading webinar. It starts in 2 weeks, and I will be recording that, so if you can't attend a session, you can actually watch it online. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a wonderful trading day, and I'm going to go trade. A lot of opportunities today, I think. All right, everybody have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.